Every time we have a project, that employs somebody in Uganda as well. And this is a third world country. I mean, your average human is making $4 to $7 a day over there. When we do something, we have to hire it out often. And so digging a well is hiring the well digger, and then hiring the engineer, and then hiring the site developer. It's just a supportive system that we really try to focus on. We don't call on another ministry to dig our well. We actually call a retail person to dig our well and start that way.
Hello and welcome to the Risky Business Podcast. I am here with I wouldn't say good friend yet. We've met 2 times now, but a friend, Mr. Scott Panella, who's also in real estate. I'm saying that correct?
Yes.
Panella?
Yeah, you are.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely. Like vanilla, but with a P.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we were chatting. He said, "Hey, I'm not trying to come on and talk about real estate. I have a different story. I'm not trying to." No, you can talk about real estate as much as you want to. So, also in the Louisville real estate market, but
it ties together. But
a really cool story with something you started, and I'm honored to sit down and get to know you more, and then also shine a light on that. So,
no, man, I appreciate it. Thank you. I had been watching a couple of your podcasts, and I was like, risk is something that I'm kind of risk adverse a lot, to be honest with you. And so I was like, this fits. And so, kind of along the same lines, I was like, I'm going to reach out to him and just kind of step out on the edge and just say, hey, I think I have a story that would be interesting to you and maybe your listeners. And hopefully somebody can connect with it and see what happens. And so that's why I reached out. So I appreciate you having me on.
Of course. Well, it's you obviously do a really good job in real estate, and you have a good sized team, and
thanks.
I look up to that, and it's pretty cool. So thanks
you.
For you were saying before you got here. Well, you were one of the only people. You're the first person I've ever had. You said you walked here today.
I did. It was a small little walk. So
we filmed in Norton Commons and you walked here. So
it wasn't
first guest that walked here. That's
sweating. And,
So give us your story. Tell us about yourself.
No worries. Well, I am a proud married man to Meg Panella. We've been married for 26 years, and it's just been a journey, and a great journey. And she jokes and we joke about how our best years, if you were to pull us apart, are not necessarily the same best years, and our worst years are not necessarily the same worst years, but it all works. And we just have an amazing marriage. It's just super, super transparent. And we have 2 biological children, and Dominic and Bennett. Bennett is getting his real estate license.
Oh, no way.
And then we have 2 children. That's kind of where our story starts, I think, is our family was completed when we adopted 2 children in 2012 and 13. It was a overlapping year. And we adopted Job and Innes, and they were in Uganda. And that was something that we hadn't really discussed early on in our marriage. But around 2010, 2011, my wife started to kind of feel the urge to give back to something, go on a mission trip, something along those lines. And she really wanted to go to Darfur in South Sudan. And at the time they were having a civil war. And I was like, wait a minute, like she wanted to go with somebody, with an organization. And I said, can we not go when we have 2 children, or can you go a little safer place? Seemed a little risky to me, if you will. But and so she actually discovered another organization, and so she ended up going to Uganda, and that's where kind of this part of our story started, really. So,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me about your shirt. It says "Give a Goat."
Yeah, it says "Give a Goat,"
which I'd heard of before, but I had no clue you had.
In the adoption process in Uganda at the time, it was a scenario where we just had to really be there for about 3 to 4 months. Fast forward to now, it's very different. It's more like 3 years, and there's a lot of political aspect to it, which is good, actually. You want to have a little tighter rules, tighter laws on adoption, in my opinion. I mean, it's certainly...
When you said be there for 3 months, you had to go live there for 3 months?
Yeah, so that's where I was going, was that we actually went and we picked up our family after about a year of the process of the paperwork and of all those things. You're waiting on a court date. And we were going back and forth for over a year. Do we want to adopt? Do we not want to adopt? And so she came back from that mission trip and just felt really, really called to do this. And we're Christians, and it was just something that we felt like, okay, this is a strong part of our faith. I vacillated. I was like, no, we're comfortable. We're, like it was just this kind of back and forth process. And so for me, it was just one of those situations where I wasn't completely settled. So over time, one day I would be like, yes, let's do it. Another day I'd be like, no, let's not. And I just kind of felt like one day I was
probably not what the adoption agency is looking for.
No, not at all. Not at all. But it was one of those things where it was part of the process of learning, right? And learning about myself and how I felt like towards growing our family in a different way. And so, man, it was tough. I mean, we went back and forth. We finally settled on, okay, let's do this. And we prayed about it. We talked about it a lot. And it was just one of those things where we were just like, oh my goodness gracious, we're about to do this. So we get the court date, and you just have to pick up and go. Like it's one of those things where you're like, we've kind of know where we're going. We kind of know who's going to pick us up at the airport, but we don't know who these people are. We've never been to a third world country in East Africa. And so
are you doing real estate at the time?
Oh yeah. I started real estate in 2004 and 5.
How did you just pick up and leave for?
So that side of the story is business related. I had a team that was super supportive and all in on what we were doing. So, and we believe in leverage in our business. And that was something that was, very important to us, that we could actually pick up, go take care of this personal side of our life, a large portion of it, and our businesses still run. And so that was very impactful, that we had the right people, we had the right support system. Our Keller Williams family was extremely integrated into our life. We opened up the Keller Williams Louisville East in 2007. So that was a big part of our family. And so they just championed our cause, and we did fundraisers and all kinds of things. So it was just really cool to see our business still be supportive. And we still feel like today we could walk away from our business for a while and have a business still thrive and run.
That's awesome.
That's something that we've learned really well, within our real estate story.
So go back real estate wise. When did you? Because you started in 2004. At what point did you hire on that first member of your team and say, like, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, that was I partnered with Meg. We partnered together in 2004. She'd actually been a solo agent at a local company, and I was in the mortgage industry for just a short time. And that was a fun time because 2003, 2004, the mortgages was uncharted territory, wild
you were
west.
Bank statement loans. You're the reason of the crash.
I know, right? Everybody blames it. I had a blast. It was a lot of fun.
Like you said, you got $200,000. Perfect.
Yeah.
Here's $1 million bucks.
It was nuts, man. It was nuts. It was fun, and at that time in our life, it was a lot of fun. But honestly, I was coming out of the mortgage industry because I wanted to join her. Honestly, it was just one of those things. Like I thought we could do this together really well. And so we stepped out and said, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're both 100% commission. We've got a 2-year-old and a newborn, but we're going to go and do this. And that was kind of our first thing that we did together that launched our business. And then in 2007, the Keller Williams region, the international, the powers that be, if you want to call it that, they called my wife and said, hey, would you like to be an operating partner of an office? And so that's when Keller Williams Louisville East really, really started that process. And so you
guys just moved to a new building like yesterday, didn't you?
Yesterday.
Absolutely. I thought I saw it on social media. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Congrats.
yesterday. And we're changing our name to KW Collective, Keller Williams Collective.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So, I did not know that.
Yeah, that way it's not geographical. It's just, specific to who we are and what we are. So yeah,
that's
really
cool.
excited about that. Yeah. It's a new chapter for us for sure.
So you started the team. What year was that?
2000. Well, the two of us was 2005, and then we hired our first transaction coordinator in 2006.
When did you start bringing on agents?
2007, 8, 9. Cool. Yeah, and
that's awesome.
And we, some people fit with us, some people didn't. Some people fit with us for a very long time. I had, around 2012, I had a group of people that, right when we were adopting, actually, we had a great group of people that stayed with us for 3-4 years. People are adverse to building a business because they don't want to have the wrong people join their team, or they're scared of them leaving before they even join them. And I'm like, yes, you have to have that conversation, but you're never going to get a great person unless you actually have them part of your team, And so for me, it was just one of those things where we just build our team around great people. And so yeah, it's been a great career so far. Yeah.
That's fun. Yep. Okay. So fast forward.
Yep.
What's the Give a Goat thing?
Yeah. So Give a Goat was started when we were in Uganda, and we lived there for 3 months as a family. The four of us.
You had to move the whole family there?
Yeah, the four of us all moved there, and we stayed in a guest house there. And within 48 hours, we go to the orphanage, and the paperwork is verified, and it's all checked out. The court system hasn't gone through yet, but the orphanage aspect of it has gone through. And they just say, here's your children, here's your family. Like, here's the rest of your family, is kind of how we felt it. And out comes, Innes was just barely 2 years old, and he's gently, delicately walking towards us. And then they bring Job to us, and he's a 7-year-old scared child. And and at that moment, our family really completed itself. And so it became, this very obvious moment to us that this is who we're going to be. And we didn't know what the future held, but this is what we were called to do, and this is what we were meant to do. And so we stayed there for another, 2 months and 3 weeks, and as a family, and we lived there during that process, because the court process, the embassy, the U.S. embassy had to accept us. We had to get, passports, all those things. And so the verification of all the paperwork was done, and done thoroughly. And so one of the things that I did, I don't sit really well. I don't.
Were you trying to manage a real estate business from Uganda?
A little bit, because they're 9 hours ahead. And so I could see a little bit of that, but
responding to emails in the middle of the night.
A little bit of that. There for sure, because, obviously adoption is expensive too. And so we had to go through that process. And so we're trying to not give up on our real estate business. But again, we really did leverage that out very, very well. So we would meet like once a week with the team, and that's kind of how we would do that. And we didn't have Zoom at the time. It was like, it's so funny. I don't even remember what it was at the time. It was
2012.
You know what it was? It was actually FaceTime. Yeah. We would FaceTime on my phone is what it was. Because it would have been so much easier had it been Zoom, because we could have looped everybody in, but everybody was huddled around like one computer in the office, and I was on my phone. And so that's how that would work.
That's funny.
Anyway, so the business really did kind of run itself, and had a great transaction coordinator, great staff members and team members. And so it worked out really well. But during that time, I actually kind of got ingrained into the other nonprofits of Jinja, Uganda. Jinja is a second largest city in Uganda. And what I discovered was there were so many different, I just had no idea. I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio. I sell real estate here. I didn't really, my world just majorly expanded. And so for me, it was one of those opportunities to explore a little bit. And I'm a big explorer. My wife, not so much. She's kind of the string to my balloon. And so I would go around and meet some of the local missionaries, meet a lot of the local people, try all the foods, everything, top to bottom. And there was one organization that I really connected with that was a malnutrition clinic, an organization that had these dairy goats there. And most of the goats in Uganda, in fact, East Africa and West Africa, they're non-milking goats. They're there more for food, trade, business, anything along those lines. And so with these milking goats, they would take the goat milk and feed it to their malnourished babies. And I was like, man, this seems underutilized. Like why aren't other people doing this? Well, a lot of it is education. A lot of people don't know that I learned in Uganda that you can take, or what they call take goat milk, drink goat milk. And I said, man, why not? And they're like, well, we don't have goats that create that much milk. All the goats there create enough milk for their baby goat, their kid goat. So that's where my mind started churning. And then at the end of our 3 months, I'll fast forward, we gave 2 goats to the housekeepers at our house and at the compound we were staying at as a gift. It was a very large gift for them. It was something just beautiful for us. So $65 for a meat goat.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
How much are dairy goats?
Dairy goats are more expensive. They're around $200 just due to the location of where they are. And like they're not from that area. They're the heat exhaustion of them, all that kind of thing. And so we have to go get them. We built this barn. I'll tell you all about that. It's amazing. And so because we'll fast forward to that. We'll fast forward to that. So we gave 2 goats away, and we put it on Facebook, and we put their picture up, and they were just so grateful. And I mean, they were calling and really just super, super grateful for the gift that we gave. And we put it on Facebook, and we said, and we told everybody why we gave to them, and their response here in America was unbelievable. It was, how can we get them 2 more? How can we get them 3 more? I'm in for a goat. I'm in for a goat. I'm in for a goat. And I was just like blown away. And I was like, holy smoke. So we actually got Western Unioned. We were staying for about another week, and we got Western Unioned some more money. And that's how we used to send money over there. And for, I don't know, probably a week, we would go and buy 2 or 3 more goats and give them to other people at the time. And it just started to kind of come together. And I was like, man, this is incredible. The dairy goats, these meat goats, what if we combine something to call it Give a Goat? So we truly just, we just started we actually started with a different name, and it wasn't going to work. And, like we were talking about giving baby goats away, and they're called kids, baby goats. So we were going to call it adopt a kid or something. And we're
Buy
like, that's
a kid.
That's like, no bueno.
Wayfair tried that.
Yeah, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. So that's kind of where it all stemmed from. Now it's taken a life of its own, but that's where it all kind of started from, was the reaction from social media was so impactful that was almost the validation I needed to step out on that ledge and say, yes, you need to do something. Because the weeks that I had been there and the time that I had seen children on their deathbed because of malnutrition, I had visited 3 or 4 different organizations that supported malnutrition. And I'm not trying to tackle malnutrition across the world. I'm just trying to make a large impact, or we are trying to make a large impact in a small area and take care of that area that can then globalize itself if it goes that direction. So
that's wild. So you start buying goats. When is that's finishing up 2013 is when you start bringing goats over and people are buying them. What's it look like now? Because you alluded to you purchasing or building a barn and obviously transporting goats in. So what's it look like in today's world for Give a Goat?
So from 2013 to 2019, the the growth of Give a Goat was just astronomical. And we had been on a farm and on land just outside of Jinja, and that's where the barn had actually started. Due to a land dispute, we ended up getting out of that barn, and we ended up shifting and moving to a new farm. But during that 5 to 6 years, we had constantly been fundraising here in America and across the world, really, and spreading the word of what we were trying to do. And so I would at the time travel 2 to 3 times a year to Uganda to stay there for about a week and really focus on buying dairy goats. And then we would separate the herd because we didn't want the local goats to buy, to mate with the
dairy goats,
the dairy goats, because then it just kind of brings down the breed. It brings down the milk. And, we're kind of trying to figure out like, well, if you had a 50-50 cross, well, the milk still, the production comes way down. Again, I'm learning this, Sam, again, I sell real estate in Louisville, Kentucky. I'm not a farmer. And it's just, and God just puts this whole thing together. So during that time, I actually find out that there is a huge dairy goat farm 30 miles north of Louisville in Scottsburg, Indiana, called Goat Milk Stuff. And they're the Jonas family, and they're amazing. Their products are fantastic. But I have a connection there through real estate, and I end up going up there and visiting. And over literally to today, from 2013 to today, I depend on them often for understanding the veterinarian aspect of goat milk and goats. And so it's been phenomenal. So I go up there regularly and connect with them. I'll call them from Uganda and say, hey, I have a sick goat. What do I do here? We had a real big problem on the farm regarding worms and in animals. And they said, well, are you pasture rotating? And I was like, what does that mean? And so we ended up fundraising for a fence, like hundreds and hundreds of yards of fencing to be able to have pasture 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So again, I don't know this stuff, but it's so funny because I just didn't know these things existed until you start to unpack it, right? And so what you focus on expands. And so it was just expanding right in front of my world. And I was like, wow, I'm really learning a tremendous amount about goats, goat milk, animals, and it's called animal husbandry. I didn't even know that, it's like all this stuff, right? So I've learned just a huge amount of that. So over the years, we've maintained basically 2 herds, a meat goat that we often give away, specifically during the Christmas season. Oftentimes we're building our herd throughout the year, and then a whole nother herd that is milking goats. And the reason we did that is because we want to give the milk away. We don't want to give those goats away. Those goats are very challenging to maintain and keep on your farm. And so because of that, we just want to give the milk away. But people hear give a goat and they're like, and it's marketing wise, it sounds way better than give a goat milk, so.
In my mind, it was like you literally hand a family a goat and you're like, here you go.
That's correct. And we do.
Yeah.
That's why we keep the meat goats there. So we keep them separate. So that's really important to us to be able to try to give away goats. Last year we gave 114 goats away, and then hundreds of liters of goat milk throughout the year to orphanages that we specifically support.
So since you started it, how many goats have you given away?
So fortunately, we can now count that. Unfortunately, we didn't. At the beginning, we didn't keep track, but we know we're into the thousands.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We know we're into the thousands, and it's just in this specific little area. We gave 2 away to a boy and a girl goat, and to a little guy who wants to be a farmer. Like that's what he was wanting to be. So he would come and visit us all the time. And so we gave him, we went back 2 years later and he's got 7 goats from those 2.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, 7. So, and he was like, actually, we had 8, but we celebrated, and so they ate it. They ate one of them, and that's, I mean, it's one of the most prevalent eaten meats in in East Africa. So it's just so neat to be able to go out on a ledge, and that's, to me, I've kind of said I want to go out on a limb because that's where the fruit is, and so that was important to me to be able to see some results from all of this.
That's so cool. Yeah. We used to live on a farm in Virginia, and we had goats. We had Nigerian dwarf goats.
Yeah.
Had 3 of those. One ran away. Just a horrible story. It was like 7 a.m. I'm like just married. My wife's like, Asher ran away, which was our like Asher.
Oh, Asher.
Like little gray goat. Yeah. And I was like, I'm in a suit about to go to work. And she's like, you got to go catch him. He's like running through the field. I'm chasing him down in a full suit. Yeah. I end up 3 miles away from our house, and it was just fields around.
Yeah.
And I end up 3 miles away from the house. Luckily, I have my phone. My suit pants ripped. I've been running through woods in a full suit. Don't catch Asher. So I'm like, I'm not running 3 miles back. And so I call an Uber at 7:30 a.m. in the middle of nowhere, Virginia. Luckily, one comes, and I'm like, this dude thinks I'm a serial killer.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, I promise I was chasing after my goat in a full suit at 7:30 a.m. in the middle of nowhere, Virginia. I get dropped off back at home.
They're not easy to catch either.
No, they're so fast. They're so fast. And then we had fainters.
Oh, okay.
And that was really funny.
Yep.
They were fun to scare. Yeah. And I was always shocked at how high of a fence you had to build.
Oh, yeah. Those things
could jump. I had a 6-foot fence, and these things were this big, and they'd run and bounce off a wall and then jump over the fence. Yeah. It was nuts.
We don't dehorn our goats, but they grow their horns often a lot. So we've had some that have caught their horn in the fence and all that kind of thing. Because the fence that we built with the Jonases talking about the rotation of our pastures was that was just based on their knowledge. I mean, I didn't know, and they're like, no, you have to go taller than what you were thinking. And I was like, oh my goodness. So, we have a 5-foot fence, and it keeps everybody in, and they're herding animals, so they all like to be together and that kind of thing. But we have 14 acres now, and the biggest gift was an opportunity to buy land in 2019 and then start fundraising for the barn. And so we built this barn, and it looks more like a house, and people cannot believe we put animals in it, but it is the right way to get the best milk and the most milk out of these animals, because they need to be treated right. In order to produce a great crop, we want to treat them right. So my favorite thing of the whole thing is, from start to finish, we've not had a single American or European person running the show over there. We have 7 employees. Kareem is our farm manager. We have an amazing attorney, a real estate developer over there, and Lazarus and Rebecca Mugabe. We just have an amazing team, and that was kind of the connection from our business side of things to be able to say, how could we do this and do this right? We don't want to be a white savior type of situation. We want to just really serve the community. And I read a book one time. It was called African Friends and Money Matters. And it just changed my whole concept of just let them know and run the culture, run the farm, because they know the culture, they know the systems, they know how to do everything. That's like trying to bring me or them, an East African person over here and say, hey, tell me what to do. I don't know. I don't know the system. I don't know language, anything. And so it was a really, really important thing for us to be able to have an entire 100% Ugandan staff. So literally, it's all fundraised here. Real estate agents like yourself and everybody that has ever donated, it's just been really, really important, because they don't know how far a $65 donation or a $200 donation truly, truly goes.
Yeah. That's so cool. It reminds me of just the phrase, like, give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime. And it's like, what's the milking cycle of a milk goat? Years or?
Yeah, years. Yeah. We've, again, because of the farm that we have fundraised for and built, it's years. Early on, honestly, it was probably 2 years. But they start to dry out after they're 5-6 years old.
Then they become meat goats.
And then I'm not kidding. You nailed it.
There you go.
You just nailed it. And it's amazing. I mean, that's exactly
same with, we used to have chickens. Once they stop laying,
yes, that's exactly right, man. Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's funny.
And so it's super cool. It's really simple. It's something that is in it. It's really hard every day because I'm on the phone with WhatsApp, through WhatsApp with Kareem, and he's telling me, this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Right now, we're trying to fundraise for a well, and so we're trying to dig for a well because we bring in water almost weekly, and that's really tough and it's expensive. We have to
How much is the well?
Gas to go. The well's about $20,000, and we have about half. Honestly, that's
awesome.
Yeah. So we have about $10,000 that thankfully was given to us by an amazing family here, and so we just started this. That's this year's fundraising process on Giving Tuesday. That's our biggest day of fundraising, and so that's our focus this year is to go fundraise about $30,000, 10 of which is going to complete our well, 20 is to hold the rest of our yearly budget. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's cool.
Good night. That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's break it down for somebody listening today who's like, man, Scott, your story's so amazing. Yeah. I'm interested in this. Yeah. How do they give a goat? How do they join in on the mission? What's the easiest way they can?
Easiest way is to go to giveagoat.org/donate. Like that's the absolute simplest way to do it. We are on social media. Honestly, that is the one thing that I've struggled with a little bit. So if there's anybody out there that wants to intern or cut their teeth and work with us on social media, like we've got content, we have it. It's just time. I do not have the time to do that, nor the expertise to work on that. And so that's been a little bit of a struggle. But the nice thing is when we do have the content what we have is those donors get to see it. It's not just you donate and you're like, oh yeah, I bought some, like the star in the sky, you actually get to see it. We have videos, we've got pictures of people that are receiving their goats. We've got an orphanage that we support regularly. Every week they get 20, 30 liters of milk. And so we tell those stories and that way you get to see it and the impact is there. There's plenty of other places. There's another organization called Give a Goat. This is ours. That's the logo. Giveagoat.org.
Yeah, I was about to say, don't go to giveagoat.com.
No.
Giveagoat.org.
/donate.
I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah. I'll tag you to your
The
your
owner of
correct link.
giveagoat.com wants $3,800 for his domain, and don't have that money to do that. That's a whole nother story. So I'm like, whatever. But no,
you probably lost that just in donations. People accidentally giving. You need to get that quick.
I know. So our focus is really, really just to continue to employ 7 to 8 people. Every time we build a well, when we build a well, or every time we have a project, let me say it that way. Every time we have a project that employs somebody in Uganda as well, and this is a third world country. I mean, your average human is making $4 to $7 a day over there. And so, when we do something, we have to hire it out often. And so digging a well is hiring the well digger, and then hiring the engineer, and then hiring the site developer, and then hiring so it's just a supportive system that we really try to focus on. We don't call on another ministry to dig our well. We actually call a retail person to dig our well and start that way. So
I was talking to some guys last night, and he came back from a hunting trip in Africa, and he was just saying, like, you would go to the best dinner, like the absolute best dinner, or every appetizer, everything on the menu, and the ticket came and it was $20.
Yeah.
And he was like, it was mind blowing. He said they left a tip for $20 for somebody, and he was like, you thought I just gave this guy a new car.
Yeah, it's
just wild how price is so different.
Yeah, the impact of $1 is just, people just don't even know how impactful it is. I honestly didn't know until probably right around 2013.
Well, you think about it, a $200 gift can truly change a family for 6 years. How long is that?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how many people sitting here listening to this? I heard Joe Rogan say it once. He was just talking about like everywhere he goes leaves $100 tip, and he was like, "Am I gonna? Do I even know that that's gone?"
Yeah.
And he's like, the amount of people listening to this too, if you drop $200 on something, not that big of a deal,
right?
Even if you forgot about it with your new social media person, you're not gonna forget about it,
right?
But I'd challenge, if someone's sitting here listening to this and you're a young person looking at, social media is where this world is going to in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
And you're saying, man, I want to build something. I don't know. Like, a lot of people have a hard time. They don't have a brand to build themselves. Reach out to Scott at the end of this. When you're done listening, swipe away right now and reach out to Scott and say like, hey, I want to cut my teeth in this. I want to volunteer my time to help giveagoat.org build up. But also, you're going to add skills to your repertoire of how I can build a social media brand. 2 years from now, you've built up his social media brand with his content. And then you can go to, hey, maybe I want to start a business in social media and building something and doing this full time. And so, if you're in college sitting here listening to this and you're like, man, I want to start something. I want to, I don't just want to go make a ton of money. My goal is to help people in the world and make an impact. Like, here's a perfect example. I hope Scott gets 10 DMs and he's doing interviews for people who want to run his social media for free. But I would encourage you, just if you're sitting here listening to this and you're driving down the road or whatever it is, reach out. And if you have any sort of skill, and if you're a young person under the age of 30, you probably have really good skills in social media and you don't even know it. But man, it would be so cool to spend an hour a day for a few days a week to sit there and go, I'm really making an impact from my parents' basement
and
as a 20-year-old.
Yeah, and it's impactful across the board. It's impactful.
And the better you do, the more people can get connected to Give a Goat and can truly change lives. And so I want to challenge you on that. And then if you're listening to this and you're like, man, Scott's story is amazing. If you're sitting here and $65, you said, or $200,
65 or 200.
If you're not going to miss $65 and you want to be able to, how many people does a goat feed?
Like,
if on the meat goats,
it's probably around
20.
No, I was going to say probably around 25, 30. Yeah.
So
probably around there.
Where can you buy 25 people a meal for
exactly
$65? Right. You can't.
And the joy of doing it is just fantastic, because it's, nobody expects it. Mm-hmm. I've been at numerous parties and events and celebrations, and nobody just expects it, and so they just, when you bring in a couple of platters and they're able to enjoy that, it's really special. It's really
That's
special.
so cool. Yeah. So my challenge for people listening, if you can't give a $200 goat, at least hop on there and give a $65 goat. And my wife and I will be joining in when I leave here. And it's just so cool. It's the impact you can make from Louisville, Kentucky, the impact that you can make listening from wherever you're listening, and you can truly change somebody's life for the positive for 6 years. And I think as we talk about risky business, there's so many risks that you took leading up to this, and just listening to the Spirit of God in your life say, maybe this adoption thing is for me. B, moving over to Uganda for 3 months and putting not a real estate business on pause. You still had people doing it, but not growing your business and not being as proactive for several months or for several years as you were focusing on this. And then C, jumping in and saying, okay, I'm not just going to sit here and focus on myself. I'm going to focus on others while I'm here. And it would have been so easy to sit there for 3 months and go, okay, I got to be on Zoom calls all day or FaceTime, whatever you said it. And I'm doing the least I can in order to get these kids home. Right. But you proactively jumped in and said, I want to make a difference in this. And then now just how it's blown up, and thousands of goats given, and thousands of families impacted.
It's because of people. People.
Yeah, but you were the connecting point. It's like real estate. You gotta if you can't you can't give somebody the house they want to get if you can't connect them to it. And so I think it's cool how you've used the gifts God's given you in real estate and as a connector to say, okay, and how can I connect people to? You've been doing it for 12 years, so there's probably kids that are working on your farm who you helped impact when they were young and at an orphanage.
It's fun to see some of those kids come about into age.
That's awesome.
Now it's neat. It's a whole generation that started. It's really cool.
So what's anything I'm missing on Give a Goat? Anything you want to wrap up with on?
No, I mean, in my opinion, I think the action item has been said, however, I would also, I'm a big believer in what are you waiting on? Mm-hmm. Just get in the game of life, right? Because you can impact other people also. Mm. And so, this podcast is something that you took, you stepped out on the edge and went that direction. There's people that just hold back and sit in the stands, and they have talent that can start something. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit, 501c3. It doesn't have to be a life altering thing for many, many people. It could just be for you, and that's okay. It could be investors, right? How many investors do you hear and see people, I'd love to own a rental house. Just get in the game. That's kind of my mantra a little bit. Just get in the game. And came from a mentor friend of mine, Jimmy McKissick, and he just looked at me one time and said, just get in the game of buying real estate. And so I started with a $35,000 property, and it turned out really well. But I took that a step further when I kind of felt God's nudge, and it was like, get in the game and do something for other people. Mm-hmm. That was the connecting point for me. And so like I said earlier, I firmly believe that we have to step out on the ledge or go out on the limb, because that's where the fruit is. That's what I'm discovering. There's a lot of fruit out there, and I think that people need to realize that.
And it's just a challenge in, I feel like our culture has, I was making a video on the way over here, our culture has this thought process that taking risk is real selfish a lot of times. And I think as I started this podcast and sat down with people, a lot of it is, yes, you're taking risks to go build a business. You're taking risks to make money. Yeah. But also some of my favorite episodes have been, I got to sit down with my dad on here and just talk about the risk of generosity and the risk of saying, God, the money that you're entrusting me with is yours, and living open-handed. Mm-hmm. And then you tie it into an episode like this, where it's like, you can jump out and take a risk, and it's not to build Scott Panella. It's not to build the Panella team. It's not to build anything. If anything, it's probably taken away from that, because you're investing so much of your hard-earned time or your precious time in this Give a Goat. Yeah. And man, I just think when I look back at people who've taken big risk, it's just the earlier people took them, whether it be for a business, whether it be for a nonprofit, whether it be for investing in themselves to build up the ability, like I said, the social media piece earlier. The earlier people took those risks, the happier they are down the road.
Absolutely.
I mean, I bet you wish you would have started this in 1995.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's, if you're listening to this, I would just challenge you two things. You don't have to take the risk today, because I think a non-calculated risk, I call it like walking into a casino and just putting money on red or black. It's like, okay, you took a risk, but you had a 48% chance of hitting, or whatever it is. Right. And so,
calculated is the key
Take
word.
Calculated risk and make a 6-month plan. I was talking to somebody the other day, and it's like, what's your 6-month plan? And wake up every day from now till, I'm not good at math. What is that? March, April? Yeah. Wake up every single day and say, okay, my 6-month plan, every day I'm doing something to get closer to that risk that I'm taking. And so point one of the challenge I want to make to you, if you're listening, is pick a 6-month timer from today and say, okay, what's the risk I'm going to take? And if I'm going to take that risk, how am I going to get a little bit closer to making that a calculated risk in 6 months? Yeah. And then B, the second thing would just be pick your risk and not make it all about you. I think obviously as a believer that you are and that I am, it's when you're picking a risk that's selfish, you're pretty much saying, I think it's an African proverb. If you want to go fast, go by yourself. If you want to go far, go together.
Yeah,
and if you're thinking about yourself, it's pretty easy to burn out, and it's pretty easy to have a flash in the pan. But if you want to go with people, I think your story is a highlight of that. You had a team, you were preemptively taking calculated risks before you ever knew you wanted to adopt, by building a team and by having, if you were a solo agent in 2012, you would have been like, I would love to adopt these kids, but I can't. I can't leave. And maybe my wife can go live over there for a few months, and maybe we can FaceTime and I can fly for a week at a time and be super stressed the whole time. But you took calculated risk before you even knew what God was going to put into your life with completing your family. And so, thanks for reaching out. Thanks for sharing your story. And I really hope people who are listening can hop in and giveagoat.org. Can go on, and it'll be in the show notes and anywhere you listen to this. And thanks for your story.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Anything else? That it?
That's it, man.
giveagoat.org/donate.
Yeah.
Hop on there and let's give some goats.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.